Big stretch. Ugh. Okay. Hello, everybody. Let's get started. Let's get farted. All right. Today we've got the funny playing retro pixel, and super weird thing about it, it did not come with a box. It didn't have a box. It came in the hard case, and the system is in the hard case too. This was also in the hard case. It did not come with a box with any information on it whatsoever. It is just the handheld in a hard case. So it's cool that the hard case is included. What I still would have liked to have a box because it's good for the unboxing experience, but that's just a YouTuber complaint. So let's go ahead and open it up. And there we go. There's the handheld. It was just put in there raw. It had plastic film on it. I took that off because I wanted to power it on and test it. It is a 1x1 screen. I don't remember the exact resolution, but it's not much. I don't think it's a I don't know for sure what it is, but I'm pretty sure it's not 720p like the RG Cube is. But let's see. I'll check Funny Playing site real quick. So this would be information that would typically be on the box, and I would check the box for that. But oh, it is 720p. Okay, excellent. Okay, 720p on a smaller screen like that. That means good pixel density, right? I don't know. I don't know the tech lingo that well. Okay, so it is a Linux-based handheld. There's a cat hair on it. It's a Linux-based handheld from Funny Playing. And Funny Playing is a company that makes Game Boy modding stuff. So if you wanted a new shell for like your Game Boy Color, so you wanted a new shell for your Game Boy Color, you would go to Funny Playing to buy a new shell, new screen, maybe a USB-C charging port, maybe a battery. You could just redo your whole Game Boy. This is instead a software modding system for a variety of systems. So it's weird that Funny Playing is selling this because this is emulation, and Funny Playing is usually about original hardware. But I guess, they saw an opportunity, they took it. This is actually version 2. The original one was a $100 system that was Android, and it used a older All-Winner chip. My microphone working just fine. Test, 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 test. Yeah. It used an older All-Winner chip. This one is just an RK3326. So it is a rock chip system. I don't think I have any other rock chip systems in my house. Is RK rock chip? I don't know for sure. But it's the only RK system that I have, the RK CPU, whatever. I mostly have H700s. I have an all-winner. And then I have the one that I just got recently from INEO. And this one is a G90T. So it's the only RK3326 that I have. I think the RG350P was a RK chip, but that's not mine, that's my wife's. So let's talk about, so that chip should be able to handle PS2 and back just fine. PS1 and back just fine. I mean, PS1 and back, not PS2. PS1 and back just fine. Now, let's talk about the physical features. We got the typical backseat buttons, B, A, X, Y, in the Nintendo format. We got a D-pad, select start, no home buttons, no menu button, no shortcut button or anything like that. Mono speaker, headphone jack, and USB-C port. As you can see, the shell is a bit curved, but there's no splitting on the actual frame itself. So this curvature at the top and bottom of the device is intentional. That's by design. It's supposed to look like that. It's a weird choice. As you can see, it's curved at the top too. It just looks like that. They did it for aesthetic reasons. You can see there's a little lip there. So then we've got a wheel for volume. it flicks up and down, but it doesn't do a full rotation. It can be pushed in a little bit. I don't know if that's intentional. We'll find out. There's one for brightness as well. I love that there's a physical brightness slider and a physical volume slider. That's excellent. That's awesome. And then you have L and R, but no L2 and R2. So immediately this system is telling me that I'm just for Game Boy. I only play Game Boy and Game Boy Color. And that's fine. That's what people are buying this for. If people bought this, they would be buying it for Game Boy Color, SNES, and Pico 8. And it does all those things. So then we have a power button at the top. It's a sort of switch. You've got to hold it in place and then it turns it on and then it snaps back to its old position. We got a Retro Pocket Pixel logo on the back here. You can kind of see that. And then there was a spot here for a label and another label. I don't know if this was a shell for a different system. I know the Game Boy Pocket has a similar shell, right? The Game Boy Pocket has a similar shell. But I don't have a Game Boy Pocket, so I can't really compare. So let's take a look on Google real quick. I mean, it looks similar. Yeah, this might have been a shell that they had for Game Boy Pocket modding. Hi, Figgy. No, you can't, Figgy. The creature is here. He's trying to eat my headphone cord. Hi, Figgy. No, no biting. If you're gonna bite me, I'm gonna put you down. You don't play with hands. All right. Back to the device. So yeah, just L and R, no analog, no L2, R2. So this is pretty much just a Game Boy system, Game Boy Advance, SNES. I would say that the L and R are probably more for SNES. So this is like a GB, GBC, SNES, NES, and Pico 8 focus device. Being that it's 1:1 aspect ratio on the screen, it is going to be best for Pico 8, which is a big reason why I got it. Because people, they're like, the RG Cube XX is so good for Pico 8. It's so perfect for Pico 8. But a lot of the people who want a Pico 8 system, when they imagine Pico 8 in handheld form, they imagine a Game Boy-like system. They don't imagine a horizontal system. Figgy, get off. Get up. No, Figgy. Figgy, please. Behave, okay? I don't mind you being in here. You just can't be digging in my stuff. All right. Hello, good morning. And then, yeah, okay, so a lot of people who want like a 1x1 handheld for Pico 8, they want something that is a vertical handheld because to them that screams retro, that screams old video games more than something like this does, more than something like the Cube does. So, yeah, I think this is going to be what people want for something that's Pico 8. The only downside is that it doesn't feel the best. Like, ask them to switch order to the blue. It's a good color. It's a good blue. It's the transparent shell is very dark and saturated. Like, the purple here that I've got from Shoe Retro, Shoe 20, it's a dark purple, but its color changes in the lighting. This one doesn't change as much in the lighting, but it's a deep, dark, saturated color, so it's a really good colorful shell. Feels less ergonomic than the original Game Boy. I think it's because of this shell here, this extra shelf. It's receded. It doesn't fit that great. It doesn't have a rounded edge like a Game Boy Color. I think they should have modeled it after the Game Boy Color, where it's got these round edges and then the very slight booty. I think this feels better. But then again, this is not going to have shoulder buttons on it. I think this shoulder shelf being a little higher up, I think that makes it a little bit more comfortable for me. I wouldn't use this for Game Boy Advance or anything, but I can see myself using this for just Game Boy Color and SNES. I don't have an Analog Pocket or a Trim UI brick, but I do have an original Game Boy Color. It's a little shorter than a Game Boy Color, and it's a little skinnier than a Game Boy Color. And then this is a little wider and shorter than a Trim UI brick. So I'd say that this is probably close to the same size as a Trim UI brick. Yeah, so it's about the same size as a Trim UI brick. I think it's just got this it's got a 1x1 screen, so maybe it's a little taller because the 1x1 screen is going to make it a little taller. Mono speaker, I think I mentioned that already. So now we're going to go ahead and just turn it on. It doesn't come preloaded with any games. So I like that. Very plain launch screen, not that y'all can see it. The brightness is too high. It does not get very dark. Yeah. Okay, there we go. That's the darkest I can get it. All right. So immediately, I don't like the look of the operating system on it, the CFW. It's very plain. It's just folders. Tools, which has File Manager and Start RetroArch. All games, which is none. Favorites, none. Last played, none. And retro treatments, none. So there is no organization here in terms of what systems are on it. It doesn't look like it's formatted for any one specific thing. So I turned this on once already to make sure that it functions. So what I did is I flashed a new SD card with a better quality SD card, and we're going to go ahead and use that. But this is a version of EmuElec. It's called AmberElec, I believe. So it kind of looks like Emulation Station a bit. I don't think it's very good looking. If we connected it to the internet, maybe we could download some different themes for it. I'm not going to bother with it because I'm about to switch the SD card anyway. So let's set up the new... Oops, that's right. You have to shut it off by going to quit and then shut down system. Nope, that's backwards. It is a single boot system, which I'm not a huge fan of. I like to have two SD cards, one for my games and saves and stuff. Well, one for my everything, and then one for the operating system, so that in case it crashes or something happens, I only have... Oh. Just showed my whole bedroom. Very cool. My messy ass room. I will have to go in and edit that. Make sure. There. Be glad I was wearing clothes, because otherwise you would have seen everything. Alright, so it's a single boot system, and I prefer dual boot because I want to be able to, if the OS crashes, I just have to swap the card. I don't lose any of my saves or anything. So it kind of sucks that it's a single boot system. But this is $50, and at $50, this might be the cheapest 1-1 device on the market. Because this starts at $60, and then you've got shipping for the RG Cube XX. And then for the RGB 20SX, I think it was, or something like that from Powkitty, I think theirs starts at $60 as well. And this is $60 with shipping. So it's installing its operating system real quick. I'm going to wipe down the screen again. This thing is an absolute fingerprint magnet. Did not come with any form of protector, just a factory included label for the a factory included plastic sheet for it. Now, I'm curious just how set up RetroArch comes, because I don't feel like digging through RetroArch, and this didn't have any games on it, so there's no test games for the people who are building it. While that's going on, let's talk about the charging system. It uses a 5 it's a 5-volt charger, so it's going to charge at the same speed as the RG Cube and other H700 devices, very slowly. This is what they gave me for a charger cable. If you're like, oh wait, Nimzy, that's not a charger cable, that's a lanyard. It's both. It's a USB-C to USB-C cable. And it's only 5 volts. I didn't know they made USB-C cables this week. I thought USB-C to USB-C was like, starts at 20 volts. But no, this is a 5-volt USB-C to USB-C, and it's the shortest cable ever. It looks like the operating system that came with it is not the same operating system that's on their site. So they are not updating the shipped out units, which means if you're buying this, you're going to have to swap to a different card immediately, which is fine because this is one of those cheap brandless Chinese SD cards. So if you get one of these, make sure you put on your own SD card as soon as possible. Anyway, the charger uses a 5-volt charger. It is a 3000 milliamp hour battery, which is the same as the RG Cube, I believe, maybe a little less. But it's weird that the cord they give me is less than a foot long, which is terrible. Who's charging like that? And then it's USB-C to USB-C, which is so weird. And there's not really a good way to hang it on the bag because it can just come right off. So that sucks. Alright, so this looks much better. Yeah, that's actually a good-looking screen, too. I mean, a good-looking menu screen. The focus is a little off because I turned off autofocus. It was freaking out. Let's turn autofocus back on. Yeah, there we go. That looks better. Other than it's doing the autofocus a lot. Okay. Well, it's not a bad looking menu. Very modern looking, actually, surprisingly. Tools comes with 14 games, which is all the tools, not actually games. PSX, create M3U files, delete M3U. RetroArch, PPSSPP, save migration. So this runs PSP. Set your times. It comes with Pico 8 in it. I don't like that because Pico 8 is software that you pay for normally, and it's software that is still easy to find and is still supported by the creator. It is an in progress, in the works software program, and you're paying money to be able to use the browser feature. So you can play your Pico 8 games without ever paying for it. So I don't like that they included Pico 8 on here. They can include the games just fine. I just don't like that they included the software on there because the software browser is what you pay for. It's an optional thing. Well, I have Pico 8 and I was going to install it myself, so I guess this just saves me a step. Extract your purchased Pico 8 64 DAT and place them into the directory. Okay, good. It does not include a pirated version of Pico 8. That is good. It just says start Pico 8. So that's probably just an installation thing. You got start PPSSPP, start RetroArch, start ScumV, so it's got DOS emulation. I don't know how I feel about this D-pad. Probably perfectly fine for GBC, honestly, but not an ideal D-pad for me. Alright. Let's see. There's no games installed on it. That's good. Retro achievements. So you can browse your retro achievements from here. That's good. That means I'm going to have to sign into retro achievements, though. Alright, so that all looks like it works. Let's transfer some stuff over and get to playing it. So, I don't think the USB-C on it is data transfer, but we're going to try it real quick anyway. It is not data transfer. It is not OTG. Or wait. Yeah, OTG is the data transfer one. I get them confused. All right, so we're going to have to turn it off, and then let's see. We got quit, and then shut down system. Really shut down, yep. All right, so I've got a bunch of GBC games already. We're, of course, going to try Pokemon, and let me get this on screen so Nintendo doesn't shoot me. My own ROM. It's my own copy. You can buy a ROM dumper online for 20 bucks on Amazon. Okay, let me pop this into my PC. Okay. Games folder. Okay, it creates all the folders for you like a normal Linux handheld does. Lots of options. We got WonderSwan Color in here as well. Believe it or not, that's not always in them. It is in Ambernick so far. Pico 8, Pokemon Mini. Okay, so we got Pico 8 for individual Pico 8. Let's see. Gotta open another folder to get my files for. You know what? Let me put on the desktop screen real quick. Okay, so y'all can see what I'm doing. All right, so we gotta search up Raspberry Pi Pico. So I've got Pico here, and we got this one here. Extract. All right, and then we close that down. I'm gonna have to re-look up how you transfer Pico 8 files, how you start up Pico 8, because I don't. It's something I do so infrequently. The last time I did it was I did it for the RG35, not RG35, the RG Cube XX, and that was, man, I want to say, no, technically last year. I can just say last year. It was last year. I did it a year ago. So I gotta watch a video real quick on how to put Pico 8 onto a Linux-based device. I could watch my own video, but that's 26 minutes long. Okay, this one should work.
Your handheld. Pico 8 feels a lot like the Atari Lynx handheld, but rather new. But what exactly is the
This video is from Monroe World, so if this works, thanks Monroe World, y'all should check them out.
Pico 8? Some classic game console?
If you want to install Pico 8 on your own too.
Computer? Before we talk about how the Pico 8 works, let's talk about contrast how the Pico 8 works. You would like to play the 20 period. Remember the Commodore 64?
There it is. More than halfway
Now
into
that
the
we
video.
know the convoluted nature of the Pico 8 and how to get the games for it, let's talk about setting it up on the Anbernic itself. Out of the box, the Anbernic has a Pico 8 folder, but it isn't enough to play the games you copy over. Pico 8 is a paid program, and before we can play on any platform, we need to buy it. The cost is $15 US. Just like the Pico 8 and its games, purchasing what you need is a bit convoluted too. It starts off at the Pico 8 website, where you initiate the purchase by entering your email and selecting a payment method you will get an activation. Once you download that, extract the contents to your Pico 8 folder on the Anbernic. Make sure you overwrite any existing file.
Okay, extract it to the Pico 8 folder. Alright, Pico 8, where is that? And bring all that in there. Okay, and then as far as I know, you just launch Pico 8 inside the handheld and it sets up. So that's that done. I will keep that video open just in case. But I remember it being pretty easy. And then we need to transfer over some Game Boy games. While I'm transferring over the specific ones I want to try, if y'all have some games in mind for GB, GBC, SNES, stuff like that, go ahead and suggest it in the comments and I'll add it if I got it. Alright, we're gonna, just in case, bring this over here. Alright, so of course we're gonna do Pokemon. You have to do Pokemon. We've got Pokemon Prism. And then we've got the Pokemon Blue, Gold, Silver. There it is, Pokemon Red. And then we want Legend of Zelda, the DX version. Uh, yeah, Link's Awakening DX. Alright, let's take a look through my cartridges real quick. See what else we got. We got SpongeBob, Lost Spatula, Tony Hawk Pro Skater, Pokemon Blue, Pokemon Silver. You run one Pokemon game, you run them all. And then a bunch of Game Boy Advance games. Okay. So it looks like we're doing Pokemon. And then let's find an SNES game. It says it runs PSP, so we may as well bring a PSP game over and see how it runs that. I don't think I'm going to have a good time playing it, though. We got Wonder Swan. We can bring over Digimon Anode. It's Digimon Anode Cathode. Let's make sure we put that in the right folder. Bandai doesn't care what I do, but I do own this. Let's see. We know it's going to play PS1, but we got to test it at least, so let's do Spyro. I don't know where my copy of Spyro is. No one wants to see Glover. I definitely don't want to see Glover. Oh, man. I don't know where I put it. Alright. If it runs GBC, it runs GB. I would be surprised if it doesn't run Game Boy Advance. Let's see, where's Legacy of Goku? Maybe it's under the... I should have set these files aside in advance. Okay. Let's just go back. Downloads. Okay, there's Spyro. I probably won't play it for long because this does not have an analog stick, but I will try it. Spyro. And then see Goku 2. There it is. Oops, this is the wrong folder. I gotta wait for the transfer to finish. This is already going much better than the INEO one. No image of the device. It's right here, isn't it? Oh, no, wait. Sorry. I was doing the transfer thing. I assumed y'all wanted to see me bring in whichever files I was going to bring over so y'all know how to do it. But yeah, there it is. I guess that's more interesting than just looking at the file transfer, I guess. Let's see. Next, I need to grab a PSP game. Where is Ratchet? Size matters. There it is. Oh, you haven't seen it yet? Yeah, I guess you can't if you came in late. It's pretty interesting. I don't know how to describe the build quality of it. Like, it's average. It's okay. It's fine. It's definitely not as good as the RG Cube, and it's 100% not as good as the Controversy Machine. What is this called again? The PAM. It's definitely not as good a build quality as the PAM, but then again, the PAM is $30 extra. For $50, I think this is pretty good. Yes, it is the RK3326. It's an old chipset. Well, it's not like I guess Pow Kitty still uses it, but it's perfectly good up until PS1. So, I mean, if you've got a 1-1 screen, you're just playing Game Boy, Game Boy Color, SNES, Pico 8 on it. You don't need something strong for that. So, that's fine if the chipset is, something older. As long as it all runs fine, I don't care. And let's see, what else was I thinking? We got Pico 8, we got a GBC game, we got a Game Boy Advance game, we got a PSP game, and we got a PS1 game. I think that's all it's going to run. You're not going to want to play N64 or Dreamcast for sure because those are 100% analog stick games. And I know this chipset doesn't run those great. So, yeah, I think that's it. I don't think it's even going to do PSP very well. I think we're going to see it chug on Ratchet. And Ratchet is already a 30 FPS cap game. So let's go ahead and remove the card. All right, let's go ahead and power this back on. Completely different launch screen than the card that came with it, and different emulation menu too. I still have the Powkitty RGB30, so that works for Pico 8. Yeah, a lot of people do, but some people want a vertical handheld for Pico 8 because it's more retro in their mind. And I think there's only one other vertical 1x1 option, and that's the Powkitty RGB20 SX, I believe it is. All right, so games. So we got PSP, PlayStation, Pico 8, Game Boy Color games. So let's go to Tools, and then start Pico 8. And there we go. Boots right into Explore. I did it right. Okay, so it's not going to do that immediately. I forgot how to leave Pico 8. That's the brightness. I guess a little dimmer than I thought it did. Okay. I can't find the menu button. I guess I have to have something on the menu in order to make the menu button pop up, so we got to restart. That did not work. uh, what's... Quick quit doesn't work. LNR doesn't do anything. Yep, okay. I'm trapped forever in here. So it did not come with a manual. It didn't come with a manual, so I don't know what any of the shortcuts are. Because it doesn't have a menu button. Hmm. Retro, Pocket, Pixel, Manual. The firmware upgrade tutorial. It's retro handhelds guide on it. Retro Pocket. Okay, no information on how to restart that. Okay. How do we exit Explore? How to exit Explore. Normally, I go on a game and I press a button and then it lets me exit that way. But there's nothing for me to select, so there's nothing for me to exit on. Yeah, there's... Yeah, there's no exit option. Or use select menu shortcut. Oh, that's not working either. Yep, I am stuck forever in Explore because I didn't enable the Wi-Fi first. Okay, so how do I shut this thing off in a way that keeps it shut off? Because when I hold it, it just goes into sleep. Okay, I think it fully offed this time. There we go. Kind of worried there. All right, so maybe we should go in and enable the Wi-Fi first. Should have timed the boot up time. All right, let's go set up the Wi-Fi. So we got to go into tools. Oh, tools. Uh. Oh, you know what? No, it'd be in here because it's based off emulation station. System settings. Don't care about the time zone right now. Network settings. There it is. Okay. Enable Wi-Fi. Go. Password. It comes in with a default password, which is weird. Like it has a password put in already, and I for my Wi-Fi, and that's not the right password at all. Using the D-pad to put in the password is terrible. Fuck, and if you go back without confirming, it erases the whole thing. I don't like this D-pad. Okay, it says Wi-Fi enabled, but it says internet status not connected, which means the password is probably incorrect. Says internet status not connected, but I'm on my Wi-Fi. I can't show you the screen right now because it's showing my IP address. Okay. Well, I guess I just won't mess with that right now. We'll just test a different system. So we're gonna start with the hardest to run first, and that's gonna be PSP. Going to start with Ratchet and Clank Size Matters. This game caps at 30 FPS, and I only use it to test. I beat the game once already. That screen is incredibly small. So I would never use this to play PSP. I don't think anyone would use this to play PSP because of how small the screen is. Controls are pre-mapped already. That's nice. Yeah, you're gonna have to do this for just Well, I guess you could do it for like internal resolution SNES as well. That should be fine. Oh yeah, it absolutely chugs. You can hear how bad the audio's stuttering. I would say that's probably less than half the frame rate. This is absolutely not doing PSP. I can feel the chip in the back heating up trying to do it. So let's turn the volume down. So how would we go about accessing the emulation menu? Okay, so again, because it did not come with a user manual, I don't know what any of the hotkeys are or what any of the shortcuts are. Again, it came with just this case, the handheld inside of it. It did not have a box or manual or anything, and I didn't see one on the site. So typically it would be select and B or select and X, and it's not either of those. It's not holding them in. No. Okay, so PSP is a no-go. Select start also doesn't force close. So I have no idea how we're supposed to exit out of the emulation on this. Like, it's possible that this isn't even native resolution, so I need to get back into PPSSPP and make sure that it's at native resolution, because it's not going to run any higher. So, already tons of issues because it just doesn't include a user manual, and there's no user manual that I can find. Left, right trigger, right plus left trigger, maybe. Okay. Nope. Nope. Yeah, I can't find any button combination that works. So anytime you want to quit the emulation because it doesn't have the shortcut select start quit like RetroArch does, you have to turn the system off fully to exit the emulation unless you go in and you set a hotkey first. So already not new user friendly. Not old user friendly either because I don't know what any of the hotkeys are because it doesn't include it. A little manual thing with it. Okay. Why are my hands so bright? And it's probably just the exposure from my camera, and I've got a light pointed directly down at my desk. They're not that bright. It's just too much exposure on the camera. Well, that's too dark. Oh, 5's too bright. -6 is too dark. I'm a vampire. I'll take the compliment. Most vampires are cool. All right, so we're back in. Let's go ahead and just launch PPSSPP and make sure that everything is set to native because it might have not been set to native resolution. It's warm. It's pretty warm on the back. Okay. Settings. Well, it's on OpenGL. I don't think we're going to get Vulkan to work on this. No, there's no Vulkan option. Full screen, VSync, frame skipping, auto frame skip. Show FPS. Oops, I pressed the wrong button. Show FPS, show speed. Looking forward to the review on this. I'm sure it's going to be something like GB, GBC, all that runs fine, but don't try to use it for anything else because it's literally not built for it. For like $10 more though, you can get a system that does all of this stuff better. It's cute though, and that's what a lot of people just want out of their Game Boys. Okay, so controls are fine. We're gonna set it to 1x PSP native resolution. That's retro achievements login. We don't need to do that. Okay, so now let's try starting it. Oh wait, maybe I should set a hotkey for exiting. Let's see. I don't see an option for quick exit. Let's see. Yeah, I don't see an option for quick close. Okay, we'll just have to full shut it down each time we're done playing PSP. No. There should be an option to set the PPSSPP menu so that I can exit that way. Wait, enable standard shortcut keys. What are those shortcut keys? You want to tell me what they are? Well, I guess I can just look them up. Alright, let's try Russian Clank again. It'll be perfect for Final Fantasy 7 and 9. I don't think so. I think you'd want an analog stick for those. For like $10 more, you can get this. It's a bigger screen too, and it has analog sticks. All right, let's see. Probably saved already, so let's just pick up where we left off. So we've got 4 frames right now. 12, 20. This game peaks at 30. It is hitting over 100% resources at 20 frames. Yep. 13 out of 30, 14 out of 30. Yeah, PSP shouldn't even be on this thing. There shouldn't even be an option to play PSP on this. Alright, so no PSP. I think I held that long enough. Okay. Don't need analog sticks for it. You don't need analog sticks for it. It's better with analog sticks, though. I think anytime you're doing 3D movement, analog sticks make it better. Well, I will say it is one-hand playable. All right, so next let's start by booting RetroArch and see what RetroArch's um, mapping it. Well, RetroArch, it's usually just, we don't need to check what RetroArch's thing is. It's almost always select and start closes. So let's try PlayStation next. I'm not optimistic for PlayStation. You didn't really miss much. We've only tested one game. It was Ratchet and Clank on PSP, and it didn't work. All right, so already not great. It squishes PlayStation 1 into the 1-1 screen rather than doing its 4x3. So this is causing massive stretching. Okay, RetroArch menus work good. We just select an X. That works normally. So let's go into the video settings and correct the scaling. Force 4.3. It's already on 4.3, but it's not showing as 4.3. Why is that? Let's quit, and then we're gonna check the we're gonna check what the default settings are, because it might be that this menu is, no, it's forcing 4x3. So why is it 1x1 when I start it? Yeah, it should be 4x3. So why is it not when I run it? Because I don't have the PlayStation BIOS in there? No, that's probably not it. If it was a BIOS issue, just want to run the game. So let's just go to video options and mess around until we find something that works. No. That didn't fix it. I wonder why it's doing that. Yeah, changing the aspect ratio isn't doing anything. It should be doing something. It's not doing anything. You shouldn't need to save the configuration for an aspect ratio change, so I don't know why it's doing that. All right, well, let's just play it as is for now. So far, not starting off great. PSP doesn't run, and PS1 is locked to a weird aspect ratio. Is it maybe zoomed? Is that what it is? And the aspect ratio isn't wrong at all? Yeah, when I integer scale it, it squishes it vertically. That doesn't make sense. Yeah, no, I didn't think it was going to. I didn't think it was going to run PSP. I know it's PS1 and backwards. It's just it's knowing that it doesn't that it wouldn't run PSP is why I found it weird that it included it at all. How loud does this thing get?
Look like I've got some things to do.
He's so skinny. No, Spyro, don't take the Ozempic.
What about Nasty North? I'm going after him.
Find dragons first. I can tell.
Well, I mean, we can already see that it plays perfectly fine. But we have no L2 and R2. No L2 and R2. Which someone said on Reddit that you could remap the brightness wheel or the volume wheel to be L2 and R2, which sounds terrible. That's not going to be a good way to play at all. So yeah, PS2 is possible, but I don't think you're going to be playing it on this just because of the limitations of not having L2 and R2. I mean, yeah, it's Spyro. It runs fine. Did I slip up and say PS2? I meant PS1. I've been talking about PS2 a lot because of the, because of this thingy. Alright. Let's go ahead and we are done with this one. Quick quit works. That's good. So, PSP doesn't work. That's expected. N64 doesn't work. Isn't going to work for the most part. Dreamcast definitely not going to work. Saturn definitely not going to work. So this is really just Pixel systems and back. Spyro, the PS1 will work, but you need to find a way to map it so that you can access L2 and R2 on games that are going to use it. So I think for the most part, you're really going to just use this for Pico 8, Game Boy Color, and Game Boy Original, and SNES, NES at internal resolutions. So let's just jump into Game Boy Color. We're gonna do Pokemon Red because I got a copy right here. It'll run Game Boy Advance as well, but at a 3:2 aspect ratio, it's not gonna look great. Oh, that's loud. Let's compare. Got my Wonder Swan out here too, because we got a Wonder Swan game on there. Pokemon Red is in color too. When you play it on a Game Boy Color, it becomes colorized. For some reason, every time you restart it, it puts itself back at medium brightness. Oops, I didn't mean to turn it off. I meant to turn the volume down. There you go. So the screen is 2 times bigger, about. The scaling is correct on the GBC game. Why is the scaling incorrect on the PS1 game? But yeah. I mean, you kind of have to say one is better than the other, but it comes with a shader on it already, an LCD shader on it. You can see little pixels on it if I get super close. Maybe not. They might be too small for y'all to see, but it comes with an LCD shader already on. I turned the volume off. Why is it... Oh. It's kind of cool just to show how small the GBC screen is. Yeah. This is not the original color of this one. It was a different color gold, but it was getting old, and it was showing the gray underneath the paint, so I spray painted it myself to make it look nicer for Connie. Alright. Pokemon is Pokemoning. Of course it's going to run these things just fine. They're pixel games. A wristwatch could run these. His name is Assface. Okay, so you gotta double click that to quit. That's all I wanted to do, was call my rival Assface. Alright, and then we got Prism version, which is going to be a little more colorful. It is a 720 by 720 screen. I don't remember for sure what the RG cube is. I want to say it's 720, but it might be higher. I don't know. But yeah, the screen difference is pretty significant. So as much as this screen is bigger than a Game Boy Color, the RG cube screen is that much bigger than this is. But this is way more portable. This will not fit in my pocket. This absolutely will. It doesn't matter because I'm not playing. Whoever made this ROM hack really likes Larvitar because you start with Larvitar as your starter and you don't get a choice of starter at all. And then it's got weird mini games built just for Larvitar. They don't have Vampire White like me. It doesn't matter. Just realized there was some schmutz on the screen. I forgot to transfer over an SNES game. But yeah, it does exactly what I thought it would. It plays Game Boy, Game Boy Color, SNES, NES. It does exactly what you'd expect it to. So, like, the PS1, for some reason, it defaults to that 1:1 stretched resolution, but it doesn't have analog sticks, and it doesn't have R2 and L2, so it totally makes sense that PS1 isn't at the top of priorities here. I think adding analog sticks to this would ruin the pocketability of it, so I think it makes total sense. It 100% makes sense for what it's doing. Where's Wonder Swan? I put a Wonder Swan game in there. Where's my Wonder Swan game? I swore I must have forgot to put it in. Oh well. It'd look better because this one's in color and the Wonder Swan original isn't in color. But Wonder Swan would be really good on this. People never talk about how good Wonder Swan is on 1x1 games because Wonder Swan is a game system that can be played vertical and horizontal. It can be played like this for horizontal, or it can be played like this for vertical games. So having a 1:1 screen means that it's the same dimensions up and down. And yeah, it'll handle all the pixel-based systems. So like Linky said, Master System, Game Gear, Genesis, NES, SNES, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Game Boy Advance. If it's pixels only, it'll run it. If it's 3D, it probably doesn't run it the best. But if it did, you wouldn't want to play it anyway because there's no analog sticks and no L2R2. The other thing about it is that, what was it? It just doesn't have the power to run anything past PS1. And, let's see. We have Pico 8. It has Wi-Fi, which means we can put Splore on it. It also means that you can have retro achievements on it. I think between these two, I'd say this one wins out because it's got Android and it has sleep. It has Android Sleep, but it gets way hotter because it uses that all-winter A133P chipset, which is known for getting very hot. This is warm, but I wouldn't say it's hot. This gets much hotter. This is more one-hand playable because it's thinner. This is... No, wait. These are practically the same size, just a little bit wider. It's like half a centimeter wider, but a half a centimeter difference makes a big difference. If you're wanting to play Pokemon one-handed, this is fine because the shelf grips here, and then you can do that. So while it will play all pixel systems, I think it's going to be absolutely best for Game Boy, Game Boy Color, SNES, and NES at internal resolution, not native resolution, not the TV resolution, which is 4:3, but the internal resolution, which is 8:7, which is a little closer to square. Not everyone likes playing it like that, but it would look good on the screen. And then Pico 8, of course, is going to fill it out entirely. If you take some time to mess around with the overlays and stuff like that, you can make Game Boy Color look really good by putting a Game Boy Color logo at the bottom of the screen. It's shorter than a Game Boy Color by about a centimeter, maybe a centimeter and a half. And it's thinner than the Game Boy Color by about just as much. So it will fit in a pocket better than the Game Boy Color, and the Game Boy Color was already a good pocket fit. So yeah, but how does it compare to the RG Cube XX? Well, the RG Cube XX has analog sticks, so you can actually use those in the games that it can play. So like in the PS1 games, you can use the analog sticks, but you can also use D-pad to analog as well, and some games that support it. So if you're playing something like something with 8-axis movement, even on Game Boy Advance, it's still going to feel good with an analog stick because 8-axis movement just works on an analog stick. This has got these are got similar buttons. Yeah, they're practically the same button size, which is really surprising because this is $30 more and it has the tiniest buttons. The D-pad is better on the Cube. The buttons are slightly bigger on the Cube. It has a dedicated menu button. I don't like the select and start position. It's more ergonomic. It's got laser etched for the interior. And then it's got full L2 and R2, but it also has HDMI out. So for like $10 more, and then shipping, so I guess $80. So for $30 more, you get a lot better. But if you just want something that you can throw in your pocket, this works. And it will, if you just want to play Game Boy Color again for super cheap, this is the better way to do it. Because if we put Game Boy Color on here and we put Game Boy Color on here, it's going to be bigger here. Let's see if I got battery left. I do not. I forgot to charge it. It's not going to be ready anytime soon. All right. And then if you put Game Boy Color on here and you put it on here, it's going to be bigger on here. So you're also getting a bigger screen for more. So if you really super care about Game Boy Color, but don't care that it's not vertical, the RG Cube XX is better because it's better in just about every way. But if you just want to play Game Boy Color again and you want it as close as possible to original hardware, I think this is probably the way to go. So yeah, that's kind of it. But this is still technically cheaper. It was $43, which is $7 cheaper. And with the shipping, it brought it to about 53. This with shipping gets brought up to 60. So it's slightly cheaper, but you're getting a less and somehow even less ergonomic thing, but you're getting all the buttons. You're getting a little bit more power, so you can play PSP games, but the screen is small. Well, the screen's a little bit wider. They're both going to be miserable for PSP. So in like terms of just like Game Boy Color to Game Boy Color, this is going to be better at playing it on a big screen. This is going to be more accurate to the original. This is going to be smaller. And I think it's less comfortable too. If we compare Game Boy to Game Boy, again, this one is most accurate. This one's biggest. PS1 to PS1. Good for PS1, not good for PS1. PSP, good for PSP, not good for PSP. Pico 8, best for Pico 8, second best for Pico 8. I wouldn't even bother putting Pico 8 on here because it doesn't play natively because it's Android. Pico 8 plays native on Linux. Let's see. Pretty much all Pixel systems are going to be better on here because of the bigger screen, but they're also perfectly fine here as well. It's just the screen's going to be smaller. So I think in terms of like pixel to pixel, it's really just going to depend on whether you want a bigger screen or you want something more pocketable. And if you want something more pocketable, this is better. That's not turned on still. But yeah. So it's good. It's a pretty basic Linux handheld. It's very much a basic Linux handheld. It's less powerful than one of the XX devices, but it doesn't need to be more powerful because all you're going to do with it is play Game Boy Color and Pico 8. Maybe Pico 8. But yeah, that's it. Y'all have any questions about it? God, the screen is so fingerprinty. Meanwhile, this doesn't get fingerprints on it because it's oleophobic. This gets fingerprints on it, but it's not as bad. I guess we could do a screen comparison real quick between the two of these. Do I have any battery in this one either? I do not have any battery in that one either. Battery life test? Yep, that's gonna come later. I can't do that right now. Well, I guess I could do it right now. I just turn on Pokemon and let it run. Or I guess a Pico 8 game. And then I see how much percentage it goes down over time. Let's put it up to max brightness. Max brightness. See what the battery level is right now. It is 58. So we're going to let it run for 5 minutes. Or even just like 2 minutes, and then I can math it out. Yeah, it's super smudgy. I smudge it a bunch by accident. And it doesn't come with a screen protector on it, but neither did the RG Cube XX. Yeah, for the same price range, the Battle GP is pretty good too, because it also comes with analog sticks. But by putting analog sticks on a device, you're 100% saying that this is not going into a pocket, because the analog sticks definitely ruin like the low profileness of it. Like, even though this has receded sticks, it's still not very pocket friendly. I had one of the thumb caps snag in my pocket on the fabric, and then it came off of my pocket. It came off and bounced away, and I lost it. Thankfully, this came with extra sticks. But yeah, analog sticks just ruin pocketability. It's been 2 minutes. What do we got so far? Still 58%. Yeah, needing N64 definitely puts you into the mid-price range, which is going to be things like the Mingmi Air X. Only if your pants are too tight? Oh, I'm not wearing cargo shorts everywhere. And yeah, if you put it in a bag, it does come with a hard case. But, I mean, this doesn't really need the hard case because, you know, it doesn't have any analog sticks to worry about. Alright, how are we doing on battery now? Still 58%. It's gonna take a while for it to go down just 1% because it's a pixel. IEDC is the RP Classic, but that is pricier. The RP Classic's pretty good, but yeah, it is over 100, which is why it hasn't been on, which is why I haven't grabbed it yet. Because I don't do anything over 100. Yep, that sure is Legend of Zelda. Oh, it has an OLED screen? I don't even know if I'd be able to tell the difference. I've got stupid eyes. I can see screen tearing when other people in the house can't see screen tearing, but I can't tell the difference between like OLED and regular screens, and I also can't see ghosting as well. How are we doing on percentage now? Went down 1% after 5 minutes, so 5 times 100 is 500. That's 60, 120, 180. Oh, wait. Am I doing math right? Yeah, I would count up to 500. So 60, 120, 180, 240, 300, 360, 420, 480. So about 8.5 hours. So yeah, it's the battery life is about 8.5 hours on Game Boy Color, which is pretty good. I don't think you're going to be playing it that much. I don't think you're going to be playing until your battery's dead. Although we can probably get a more accurate number if we wait because the percentage just rolled over. Game Boy Advance might take up a little bit extra battery, but I don't think it's going to make that big of a difference. This is also an RK3326, so I don't know if it's going to pass the Yoshi's Island test on SNES, so I'll have to do that later. Well, 8.5 hours isn't too bad for a long plane ride. The longest plane ride I've ever been on, though, was only 9 hours. I don't know. $100 for a PSP dedicated device doesn't seem like a great deal to me. Because you're buying a device with a 16:9 screen, and only one system is going to use that screen to its maximum. So that's just paying $100 to play PSP games. Yeah. I prefer this, but I can't recommend it to anybody. I seriously can't recommend an INEO device at all. But it's also $100. It was 80 and then 20 for shipping, and then it also plays PSP, but it plays PS2 and GameCube and all that, and it's a 4:3 screen, which is better for a wider variety of systems. Well, there's other downsides to a widescreen, but I'm not putting these things in my pocket anyway because they got analog sticks. Yeah, I just mostly use everything to play GBA as well. It's like I've got this handheld now that plays GameCube and PS2, and I'm like, that's neat. I'm just gonna go back to playing Dragon Ball Z Legacy of Goku. I am gonna probably use it to beat Budokai 3 though. Most of these emulation handhelds can actually handle the Yoshi's Islands test nowadays. It's the older chipsets that can't handle it. So like this one might not do it. I don't know for sure yet. But the newer stuff, the H700s, they all handle it just fine. And like I said, these are close to the same price. Yeah, it looks like it's about 5 minutes per percent. So yeah, 8 hour battery life. Alright, we can go ahead and close this all out. Being a magnet. Okay. I guess let's check if my Wi-Fi is on, and then we can try Pico 8. Says I still don't have internet, which means I'm putting my Wi-Fi password in wrong. Let me just check my Wi-Fi password on my other handheld real quick. Oh, that was it. Correct. Yep, okay. Just says I'm not connected to the internet. I might need to restart it. Oh, let's just jump into Pico 8 and see if it works. We want to launch it from Tools because that's where Explore is. It's taking a minute to update. There it goes. Okay. Pico 8 works. Let's start with featured. It did not update. No, it's still updating. It is slow to update Pico 8. Or just not at all. Could not connect. That's weird because this worked. I guess let's try searching. We'll play one of my favorite puzzle games. I might be too far from my Wi-Fi. I am in another room. Yeah, timeout. Let's just assume I'm in the wrong room. All right, I'll be right back. I'm gonna go out into the living room real quick, start the game, and then come back. First one. Pretty sure. Alright, it was because I was too far from my Wi-Fi. That's right, we're playing My Sweet Buns. I already know how to play My Get Out of Here. Maybe I know how to play. Come back, My. I'm sorry. Well, that's embarrassing. Oh, did I just... Oh, okay. I see. I see. Yeah, oops. Big oops. Is that not correct? Oh, okay, that's right. I can only do the matches that are down there. Okay. Yeah. Yep, I screwed up. We'll remove a pastry from the board. We're gonna get rid of this one. All right, so I think we can say Pico 8 works. Just not good at it. Yeah, so Pico 8 works fine. You're able to use Splore. It doesn't come preloaded with games, which I like. It doesn't come preloaded with uh, a copy of Pico 8, which I also like. If you want to do Pico 8 Splore, you should just pay for Pico 8 Splore because the games are free. You can find the games online, download them, and then put them onto the device yourself. But if you want to use the browse function, which is kind of like TikTok for games, you should pay for that feature. And it's only like I think it was like $15, but you can get it on sale sometimes. And it's a thing that's in development, still being worked on. So you should definitely support the creator as they're continuing to make this thing for us. So yeah, it's a good Pico 8 machine. If you wanted this just for Pico 8, Game Boy, Game Boy Color, SNES, and NES internal resolutions, I think it's a perfectly good device. Yeah. When they give me a no SD card option, I tend to take it too because I prefer to just like you're gonna if you're gonna include a trash SD card, I'm always gonna replace it anyway. So give me the option to not pay for that SD card, even if I only save $1. Because I'd rather not get it and then just end up having to throw it away because this is just gonna go straight into the garbage. Like what the fuck am I gonna do with this? I can't put anything on that because it's gonna corrupt eventually and then I'm just gonna lose it. So I guess I'll just set it aside and in case I need a backup one day because these things don't even last up to a flash. I can flash them once or twice maybe and then they just implode. So honestly, and with the whole gray legal area of ROMs and emulation and stuff like that, they shouldn't come with ROMs on them anyway because that's gonna be what gets them banned eventually in the US. Like it might not be right now or even like 10 years from now, but if anything gets these handhelds banned, it's gonna be them coming with games on them already. So I think we should just get used to the idea of having to put our own games on there. But yeah, that's really it. It is okay. Just okay. Like, I don't think playing it a bunch extra is going to change my review on it. I'm going to record some gameplay of me playing it. I don't think I need like a week or a month with this thing to figure out my opinion. It's just another Linux handheld that's able to do pixel systems. Yeah, it's not hard to get ROMs anyway. Yeah. You can accidentally find ROMs. Yeah, I really don't like it when they do Portmaster with full games either. This handheld actually came with a copy of Hollow Knight. If you bought the one with the SD card, it came with a copy of Hollow Knight and Balatro, and I don't like that. Yeah, I think that's where everyone just does it. They just download a set from Archive. But yeah, that's gonna be it. There's not much else to say about this. 8.5 hour to 8 hour battery life. Plays Game Boy, Game Boy Color, Pico 8, does exactly what you'd expect it to do. There are only two 1-1 vertical handhelds on the market, and this is one of them now, and this is the cheaper one. So if you absolutely need a Pico 8 device, this is a Pico 8 device. If you need a Game Boy just because you miss playing Game Boy, it is a Game Boy. It's like, if you wanted to play specifically Game Boy, I would say get this instead of getting this. And that's really all there is to say. It's a Game Boy. It is a Game Boy. The Game Boyest of all time. Very Game Boy. There we go. And then we can shut down Pico 8 because I was actually able to use the internet. And then, how do we shut this down? From here, right? Yep. There we go. That's a Game Boy. Honestly, what's my opinion on Game Kitty handhelds? Oh, you're gonna make me look up a company because do you mean Powkitty? Powkitty, I haven't used a Powkitty device, but I've heard that their build quality is really cheap, and that's made me not want to try their handhelds because they charge just as much as Ambernick almost does, and then they're not as good a build quality. So like Game Kitty, GKD, like the GKD Pixel, their products are almost never in stock. Let's see. Yeah, the GKD Pixel. Isn't that thing just never in stock? Don't you have to buy that from resellers? Let's see. They got GKD Plus on pre-orders, which has been up for pre-orders for like a year. The GKD Mini, which I've also seen on the site for a while now. GKD Pro, which leads to a 404. The only available device they have is the GKD Mini Retro. Yeah, and then the GKD Pixels are hard to get. You had to get them from resellers. Yeah, I can't say that I'm a fan of any company that doesn't provide an actual enough units for customers to be able to get one. They should make more of them and support them longer, because they do release so few devices. They should spend more time supporting them. And people actually really like the Pixel, so it'd be cool if they made more of them. Metal handhelds are cool. The only one I have is the RG Nano, and it sucks because it's too small. The GKD Pixel looks just right, though. The second smallest handheld I have is the RG28XX, which is 432.8x, which is just it's about the same size as a Game Boy Advance screen. The brick hammer's cool, but it's too expensive, and also their color options suck. Each time they're like, "Oh, we're releasing a new color bundle." 2 of them are black. There needs to be more color options in general, so that's a big draw for this one. It's just that, like, I'm not big on transparent tech because I think it looks cheap, But this is a pretty thick feeling, but also the blue color is heavily saturated. So it's a really strong blue color. So I like that about it. And then I liked this one's color options because the purple changes color based on the lighting. It goes from like grape to like a berry color. And then I got the Cube XX in black because it was black or white. And then this only comes in grayish with green or grayish with red or black. I hate these terrible color options. This was a great one I got for the color too. I really like orange. Well, I don't like orange in general. I just like that orange is an option. And then the other one they have is white with blue, and then they've got a black one. So like the quick way to get me to buy handhelds is to just put a good color on it. Like there's so few good colors. I think my RG35XX is transparent purple. I don't know. Maybe it's transparent black. I don't know. It's lacking so much color, it's hard to tell. There's just not enough color options. And you know it's bad when the person who can't see colors right says that things aren't colorful enough. There is something as small as the 28XX with joysticks. Oh yeah, you already mentioned the 028. Android and expensive. And the MIUI A30. Yeah, I don't need analog sticks on the RG28XX because I'm using it as a Game Boy Micro because it's just a bigger Game Boy Micro. What I want it with is I want it with Wi-Fi. MIUI is another company that has another problem with keeping things in stock. Then, yeah, like the numerous MIUI Mini iterations. But yeah, the GKD Pixel looks really cool. I like the pink one, and I like the blue one. But I don't want to buy from resellers. Like the closest you'll get me to buying from a reseller is buying it on Amazon, and if it's got Prime, because then I'm willing to do it just to get it quicker. I am impatient. But yeah, I think that's gonna do it. I tested the things that I wanted to test because we already know it's Linux based. It's gonna play everything pixel based just fine. Just wanted to see what the square ratio screens were gonna look like on it, and I'll probably have a review on it in a couple of days. So have a good night, everybody. I knew this one was going to be shorter because it was an Android.